Listen carefully, because what you're about to read was never meant to survive. Not in 1943, not in 1958, and certainly not now. For 80 years, a stream of classified papers, silent testimonies, and a sealed military archive kept one of the strangest episodes in American history buried under layers of redacted ink and forgotten bureaucracy. What began as a wartime research facility in northern Montana would grow into something far stranger, an unanswered riddle that still haunts U.S. intelligence. The place had many names. To locals, it was simply Ravenwood. To the government, it was Site K-47. To the few surviving scientists who lived long enough to talk, it was the assignment that changed everything and destroyed too much. This is the story of what happened there. A story about the people who tried to expose it, and the file that should have been burned, but somehow survived. The United States was deep in World War II, racing not only against enemy nations, but against the terrifying possibility that someone, Germany, Russia, Japan, might discover technologies far beyond the scientific understanding of the era. President Roosevelt had already authorized the Manhattan Project. But there was another program, smaller, more experimental, buried behind a wall of secrecy so dense that even military commanders were unaware of it. This one wasn't about bombs. It was about communication. The Army had intercepted a stream of radio signals, patterns that did not match any known encryption method. The frequencies were uneven, periodic, almost natural in their rhythm, like the pulse of something alive. And the origin point? Not Germany, not the Pacific. It came from North Montana's wilderness, a region with no towns, no military bases, no industry, and no reason to transmit anything at all. The military dispatched a reconnaissance team. All of them vanished. The second team returned with a single survivor who died within 2 hours of rescue. His body temperature had dropped to 84 degrees Fahrenheit, despite being outside for less than a day in early summer. Before he died, he left only one sentence. It wasn't human. He never clarified what it was. Construction began in early 1943, disguised as a weather monitoring facility. But its staff were not meteorologists. They were radiophysicists, cryptographers, and a handful of biologists whose recruitment letters used the phrase, "You will study an unidentified ecological anomaly." The base was deep underground, accessible only by a single elevator shaft and a surface entrance hidden inside a false barn. The entire region above was declared a wildlife restriction zone, closed for the public for endangered species protection. Inside Ravenwood, the researchers made their first discovery. The signals were not random. They were structured, repetitive, growing stronger. The source seemed to move underground, but no known animal or geological structure creates electromagnetic pulses at that frequency, and certainly not with deliberate patterns.
In November 1943, a team of 5 researchers entered the caverns beneath Ravenwood, believing the signal originated from a mineral structure or naturally charged rock. They were wrong. The team's last recorded transmission was a frantic, half-corrupted message. "It's not stone. The walls they're moving? Record everything. Don't touch! Don't touch!" The audio dissolved into static. The military sealed the cavern entrance the next day. But the signal didn't stop. Instead, it intensified. Researchers sent remote instruments into the tunnels, a new attempt to understand the anomaly without risking human lives. What they found shocked them. The cavern walls were lined with a material that behaved like a biological nervous system, conducting pulses, responding to electrical input, almost as if it were listening. DNA testing did not match any known organism. Rock samples showed microscopic cells that communicated using an electrical language no species on Earth used. The military classified it as Unidentified Subterranean Bionetwork, USBN. Unofficially, scientists called it the reflective veins, because when lights were shined on them, they reflected back patterns almost like Morse code, except the patterns changed depending on who was watching, as if the tunnels were observing the observers. After World War II, the Soviet Union began expanding research into biomineral intelligence. U.S. intelligence learned that the Soviets too had discovered caves in Siberia with similar structures. Terrified of falling behind, the U.S. doubled funding for Ravenwood. The new mission was clear: translate the patterns, understand the network, discover whether it can be controlled. Computers of that era were primitive, so the U.S. built an entire analog machine, the Baer decoder, just to interpret the pulses. And then, in 1956, something happened. The signal responded to a human voice. A technician named Harper jokingly said into his microphone, "Hello, if anything's down there, give us a message." 3 seconds passed. Then the machine printed a sequence. Not random, not meaningless. A perfect, structured repetition of Harper's own voice pattern reflected back electrically, as if the cavern had heard him and was trying to imitate speech. Scientists were stunned. This was no mineral, no fungus, no simple organism. They were dealing with a sentient geological intelligence.
On January 19, 1958, every light in Ravenwood Base flickered. The magnetic readings spiked off the charts. The Baer decoder overheated and burned. The signals changed frequency, faster, more urgent, more oscillating, like a heart in panic. Researchers rushed into the cavern access point. What they saw is still redacted from the surviving documents. The only uncensored line is, the network was expanding. Tunnels that were previously solid rock had opened. New branches formed. The veins were spreading upward toward the surface. The scientists set off emergency charges to collapse the tunnels, but the network reacted. The floor pulsed electrically. Lights exploded. Several researchers collapsed with cardiac arrest despite having no injuries. The military evacuated Ravenwood within 6 hours. All that remained was to seal the entire facility. By morning, 14 square miles of Montana forest had been fenced off. The government claimed the region was contaminated by a chemical spill. Every surviving staff member was relocated, silenced by threat of treason charges. The files were boxed under Operation Nightfold, buried inside the National Archives under a restricted classification that technically did not exist. Public knowledge of Ravenwood Base faded into rumor. Most Americans never even heard its name. But the signal never stopped, even after the base was sealed. A retired communications officer, Margaret Willis, attempted to publish a memoir. She only got as far as Chapter 3 before the manuscript was seized. One surviving page leaked years later. She wrote, "We never discovered whether the intelligence was natural or something much older. But we learned one thing. It wasn't communicating with us. It was warning us. And we ignored it." What was the warning? The documents never say, but they all repeat the same line. USBN expansion anomalous. Surface breach projected. After the Cold War ended, a small group of historians uncovered references to Ravenwood Base in archived Senate budget reports. The region was still sealed, now under the pretext of an ecological research preserve. Satellite scans from the 1990s showed something impossible. The ground in that region emits periodic electromagnetic pulses, identical to the 1943 signals. Same strength, same rhythm, but now spread across almost 4 times the original radius. The network was still alive, still expanding, still sending something. But no agency wanted to acknowledge it.